In our very first story, Vice President Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia has now given the assurance the Right to Information Bill will be passed next year. He was responding to calls by the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice for a swift passage of the law after it said the delay is impeding the fight against corruption. Deputy Commissioner Richard Kwesi said the absence of the highly debated law makes it difficult for whistleblowers and persons with credible information at the various government agencies to speak up and help with the fight with the growing trend, help fight the growing trend of corruption in the country. He was speaking at the commemoration of this year's International Anti-Corruption and Human Rights Day held in Accra.
That the Right to Information law provides opportunity to strengthen transparency and accountability, and prevent and detect corruption, to investigate corruption and to protect victims, witnesses and whistleblowers cannot be overemphasized. The Right to Information Bill, which was laid in the various parliaments of the Fourth Republic, is still pending before Parliament, and there are mixed signals as to whether it will become law anytime soon. We urge government and Parliament to do everything necessary to meet the aspirations of the good people of Ghana regarding this important bill.
Parliament has also begun consideration of the Right to Information Bill, which has been before the House since 2013. The rationale for the bill is to give the right and access to official information held by public institutions, private entities which perform public functions with public funds. Government has taken notice of the persistent efforts by several advocacy groups to have the Right to Information Bill passed, and we are very committed to have the RTI law to boost our fight against corruption. I just asked the Right Honorable First Deputy Speaker where we are, because we keep asking for updates, and he tells me they have considered about half of the amendments to the bill so far. So it looks like all things being equal, early in the next session in Parliament, he tells me this bill that has been sought after for the last 20 years, by the grace of God and with your effort, we should see it passed.
Information. Fortunately, the Vice President has mentioned where we are. I want to emphasize that sometimes it's frustrating when the impression is created that Parliament is not willing to pass the right information. And I want to emphasize that ever since I've been an MP, for the first time, one of the rare powers of Parliament was used so that we could go on and working on the right to information, and that was suspending the standing orders with respect to quorum. Because I was presiding, I realized that some members wanted to raise quorum. We didn't have sufficient numbers, and so I suspended the standing orders. Fortunately, it's a power given to the Speaker to suspend any part of the standing orders. And I said all parts relating to quorum are suspended, so that the few who were committed to ensuring that we work on the right to information bill continue to work. So let's not give the impression that Parliament is frustrating the process. But having said that, sometimes it's also frustrating the way we behave. We behave as if law is just enactment. And I'm referring to the amount of effort and campaigns we use into ensuring that certain laws which interest us are passed, only to find that soon after that nobody talks about them again.
Moving on, and the Accra High Court has ordered the Attorney General's Department and the Bureau of National Investigations to appear in court next Monday to justify their continued detention of an Islamic cleric who was arrested at Karaga in the northern region. Sheikh Sidi Bukuri is said to have been arrested along with several others on November 28th on what JoyNews is learning are terrorism-related charges. Yusuf Bari, a disciple of Sheikh Bukuri, says he witnessed the dawn raid in which the people were flown away in a helicopter. Let's first hear his account.
Yedahwa anaju betu na yeti nkankabi We were in our homes at Karaga when we heard some disturbances around 2 a.m. The police, military and BNI personnel raided our homes and arrested people numbering over 20, including our cleric, Sexy Dukre. We were not informed of anything, and we were also not told about any wrong we had done.
Now, Master Yang Karatun Kolano Nina, Omube 20, now Oma Fire Panin in the Swaka, Sexy Dukre, no Mudina Koi, Oma Boya Mania Bia, Yantine Hook Bibia. So,
we are appealing for help from any quarters for our cleric and others who are arrested to be released. We are being told our people are currently at the National Security Headquarters, and for the past 4 days we have been frequenting their offices, but we've not been allowed to speak to them. We continue to appeal to authorities to come and speak for us. All we need now is our leader.
Well, lawyers for the Islamic cleric and the others in detention were in court on Monday to secure their release, but the court ruled that the BNI would have to be heard first. There's more in the following report.
The Bureau of National Investigations effected the arrest of the 21 persons on November 28 in the northern regional town of Karaga. They subsequently airlifted them to Accra from Tamale. They are suspected to be training the young men in the area into terrorism, a development the family members have vehemently denied. Lawyers, after several attempts to get access to them, proceeded to court for an order for them to be released. They say Sheikh Bukuri is suffering from an acute disease and is on medication. The inability of the BNI to get them reasonable access to him puts his life at risk, they argue. The inability of the BNI to get them reasonable access to him puts his life at risk, according to their lawyers. Justice Nicholas Abodakwi on Monday ruled that the nature of the case required that the BNI officials and the AG's office be heard before the court rules. The case has been adjourned to December 17, 2018.
You're watching JoyNews Prime. Now, government has imposed the dusk to dawn curfew in the northern region town of Bali following violence in the area Sunday. The decision, which was taken in consultation with the Northern Region Security Council, took effect a little over an hour ago. 2 people are reported dead, with 3 others injured in the ensuing chieftaincy clash between the Mandale Gate and the Alhaji Abdullah Gate. The curfew in Bali comes days before the performance of the first of 2 funerals for the late chiefs of Dagman, Yana Muhammadu Abdullah and Yana Yakubu Andani. Now, this is the statement coming through from the Ministry of Interior. It says, imposition of curfew on Bali Township and its environs. The Minister for the Interior has, on the advice of the Northern Regional Security Council and by executive instrument, imposed the curfew on Bali Township and its environs in the Bali district of the Northern Region from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. effective Monday, December 10, 2018. The imposition of the curfew follows the outbreak of violence in the town arising from the Bali chieftaincy disputes. Government is calling on the chiefs, elders, opinion leaders, youth and people of the area to exercise restraint in the face of the challenges confronting them, as well as to use non-violent means to channel the energies into ensuring peace. Meanwhile, there is a total ban on all persons in the aforementioned communities and its environs from carrying arms, ammunition or any offensive weapon, and any persons found with any arms or ammunition will be arrested and prosecuted. And this is signed by the Minister for the Interior, Ambrose Derry. All right, so joining us online right now for some analysis on this is security analyst Adam Bona. Thank you for your time, Mr. Bona. Now, how does this strike, how does this come across to you? We're having a curfew imposed on Bali and surrounding communities, and this is coming days before the funeral of the late Yana. Now, how does it come across to you? And does it look like something that's going to jeopardize the roadmap for peace that has been put in place?
Well, thank you very much, and good evening to your cherished viewers. I must admit, this is likely to throw the roadmap, to any situation. I don't think so. The timing of if this had happened probably on Wednesday or Thursday, then one could conveniently say it would have thrown the road into some chaos. As it stands, I believe that there is a head start for the Ministry of Interior and security apparatus in the country to ensure that the full force of our security agencies is brought to bear on the soil of Bali to ensure that there is no further damage and probably killings and destruction of properties in the Bali township.
Now, how is it that we are unable to preempt some of these things and stop them before they happen?
Well, why is it? I have said it repeatedly on various networks. I've written about it. National security probably is not telling us they don't have the requisite resources to be able to provide us the intelligence information we need with regards to ensuring that this type of situations do not come up. If you look at eminent chiefs led by the Otunfo or Setutu, who were at the Tupi House recently, to tell the whole world the roadmap. One would have thought that national security would have ensured that the Northern Territory, the three northern regions, not even northern, northern region, the three northern regions, the upper west, upper east, the northern region, wouldn't have any situation of chaos. But unfortunately, it looks like the national security sometimes is not doing what is required of them. Probably they don't have the resources. They are not telling us. Because then, this issue that is probably taking place in Bali has gone to court. There's a ruling on it. And you don't need to be a security expert or analyst or a lawyer or anyone who understands chieftaincy and conflict to know that if you allow parties within the Bali township to have any form of celebration or any form of burial, it will definitely spill into something else. But unfortunately, that was allowed. And so the Regional Security Council, the National Security, the BNR, and the rest, that the people should be asking. After the police, I can say, we are told they were on the ground to provide cover and make sure properties were not further damaged and people, probably more people were not injured and killed. But national security, for me, I think that we need to be asking them a lot of questions. Why are we seeing this? Why do they have people on the ground, gathering information and sharing the information with the police, the military, to ensure that these things don't happen? It's unfortunate. It's quite unfortunate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bona. But before you go, there's this other story that I'd like to pick your thoughts on. It has to do with the sexual assault of 4 British schoolgirls and their teacher. Apparently, they were held at gunpoint and sexually assaulted last Saturday. Now, according to the British newspaper The Sun, the victims aged 16 and 17 are aged 16 and 17. The attacker allegedly used his rifle to shoot and wound the security guard at the hostel after he tried to intervene. The story goes on, and they're saying that the victims arrived in Ghana on Saturday, were flown home on Sunday after the incident and treated at a British hospital after their ordeal. Now, we approached the Ghana Police Service and they confirmed the incident to us. And they told us that the police is handling and investigating the incident. Their source would, however, not give further details. When we contacted the British High Commission, they responded with the following message, and I'll read that to you. We're providing support to several British nationals following an incident in the Greater Accra area and in close contact with the local authorities. So that's the information we got. Now, I know you have your ears on the ground, and so we want to find out from you if you have any additional information as far as this incident is concerned.
Well, I believe that the information I've picked up indicates that the police are actually on the heels of the perpetrators of this crime, and so they are tight-lipped, as expected, to be able to arrest these people. In fact, I got wind of this some time ago. When I say some time ago, you wouldn't want to disclose all the information because sometimes when some of these unfortunate incidents hit the media, if you are not careful, it becomes difficult to, apprehend those who might have committed the crime. But as far as I'm concerned, they are on the heels of those who took part in this, and believe that the next 48 hours, a significant arrest would have been made. But I believe that foreigners who are traveling into this country should be free to come in. But when they do, there are certain areas I believe that they would have to be a bit careful.
All right.
Moving to.
All right. Now, the other disturbing thing, and for which reason I actually want to pick your thoughts on, has to do with a reportage in the British newspaper. So they indicated in the paper that Ghana is prone to a terrorist strike and uprisings. Now, I'm wondering on what basis they will put out such information. I'm actually trying to pull out the what was said exactly about in that article regarding Ghana. But I'm wondering, how do we counter such reportage? Because clearly, if we're talking about terrorist attacks, Ghana hasn't had one, at least not in a long time. And yet in the UK, they have actually had their own terrorist attacks.
Yes, I mean, you know the British tabloids and British media and sensationalism. And so I have not, if you ask me, I would say I'm not surprised at the way they would report on some of this incident when it has to do with probably a developing country like ours. I was in London. I was there when the underground bombings took place. We haven't had any terror attack. I mean, the whole world is faced with the incident of being attacked when you get up. And so I would want to say that we can only be on our guard, and we can only hope that the intelligence community within the country will be ahead of terror cells who are operating freely around the world, including Britain itself. And so it is the way probably they want attention themselves because of probably the way they perceive countries like ours. And so I'm not surprised at all. But we have to probably be up there. I think recently there was some exercise by the security operatives to counter any terror attack. I want to believe that we have. I mean, I was the Upper West recently, and the Upper West police commander at IC there had his men firm on the ground. I mean, I was surprised that some of the exercises they were putting in place to counter any terror attack in this country. I was surprised to see the kind of exercises the Upper West Command Deputy and his people are putting in place. And so I don't want to believe that we are the only country that is going to be affected by terror attack. Britain itself has had its fair share, including many attacks. And so just have to be on that. Is right.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Bonadam. Bona is a security analyst, and you're watching JoyNews Prime. We're taking a break at this point, but still ahead in the bulletin. President Kufuor has called the 2-year-old Kufuor administration.
Within the time frame, I would say it's over 50%.
Stay tuned. We'll be back with more. Welcome back to JoyNews Prime. Now, former President John Kufuor has rated the Kufuor administration, his performance at 50%. Speaking to host of the Super Morning Show, Daniel Dazi, President Kufuor said the challenges confronting the government are enormous and need time to solve the prevailing economic problems. He cited unemployment and unstable oil prices as key challenges confronting the Kufuor-led government.
They have a plate full of challenges which they're trying to tackle radically. But given the time limits to them, it's not easy. But I believe they've taken some very far-reaching steps which should be appreciated. What with the free SHS is radical and positive. And I see that they're talking of macroeconomic decisions too. The Ministry of Finance is also doing something. They've tried to work with the IMF and not accessing credits indiscriminately. They've used the bond market, some deftness, and some profit. But it's still not easy because there's so much unemployment in the system. The international crude oil market, hasn't played too favorably in the direction of what the government really wants to do. But I still think they've managed. But point is, whereas to the generality of the people, the grassroots, say if you go to our markets, the market woman would assess the situation by the day. I go to sell today, people are not buying. That's what decides the market woman. Or the trotro driver who goes to the filling station and then he doesn't see the ex-pump price going down, all his eyes marked up a bit. And but this government, we thought it was coming to reduce. The trotro driver wouldn't look at the international markets of crude. These things are factored in. They wouldn't understand immediately that the government must think not only of now, but medium to long term as well. And that trying to manage macroeconomy would entail discipline. They have some difficult decision to take. But when you put everything together and you factor in the time factor and the impact government must make not only within but also externally, I would say on balance, government is not doing too badly, doing well.
Okay. Out of 10, you would score them?
Oh, definitely within the time frame, I would say it's over 50%.
Former President Curfew has also been speaking about the free senior high school policy and its sustainability. He believes government can work towards making it successful.
Policies come in rounded. Along the way, without losing the targets, you tweak here and tweak there to get it right. I've heard the argument that those who could pay should be made to pay. If you have just 1 year or two to launch such a program, how do you make yourself the time to say, oh, Mr. A, I look at you, the car, the way you are dressed, you should be able to pay. Mr. B doesn't look as smart as you, so perhaps he's the guy whose children should go scot-free. Everything should be laid on for them. It won't work. But the whole idea is to move our economy or the people, not society, to the point where literacy becomes the culture, the order of the day for everybody to. So government comes in with this holistic approach. Free SHS. Then along the way should be the managers of the policy, Ministry of Finance, Education, to see how do we ensure that those who can truly afford contribute so we get sustainability to look after. And I believe in due course we will get to know that. But if the government has started off being nitpicking, those who can afford to pay, what do you look? The informal sector of the economy is far bigger than the formal. With the formal, it's easy. Civil servants, the people in the corporate world, you can easily target them. How do you assess the people in our markets, the traditional markets, for instance?
Now, Environment, Science and Technology Minister Professor Kwabena Frimpong has urged residents of Accra not to panic following a tremor Sunday morning. Reiterating the scientific position that earthquakes are not predictable, the minister urged residents to continue living their lives and trust God to protect them. Speaking to journalists outside Parliament, Professor Frimpong noted one of the ways to prepare for any eventuality is to obey building codes.
Nobody will know exactly where the fault lines are, but Accra is an earthquake-prone area, and we must adhere to the proper building code, not only in terms of structures we live in, but even pipelines and water lines and so on, water pipes, electricity pylons and so on. There are ways to build these things and make them earthquake-proof, and that's what I would advise. And people are not supposed to build where they are not to build. This is one thing I would say. But there should be no cause for alarm. I don't think, nobody can predict what will come, next. But earthquake is a natural phenomenon, and it also helps to nature to regulate system. So we should not be worried. There's nothing you can do about this. We have to obey the building code and do things that will make whatever we do earthquake-proof. But nobody can predict earthquakes and when they will come and the magnitude of the earthquake. So we have to go on leading our lives and trust that God will continue to protect us as He has done for millions of years. Thank you.
Geological Survey authorities meanwhile warning of an imminent earthquake after the tremors. People residing at Weja Gbawe La and Dablekuma said they felt their building shake at about 7:50 Sunday morning. Maxwell Agwagwa has been speaking to some residents along the Weja Kaswa Ridge who have been sharing their experience about the tremor.
Yes, I did. It was in the morning. I was actually dressing my kids for church, and then it happened.
Okay. Some people are telling us that it lasted for like 5 seconds, 6 seconds. Some people with experiences from different parts of the country.
Yes, ours was in like just 3-4 seconds. Yes.
3-4 seconds.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Earlier, I heard you saying that you've had this experience for like about 4 times now?
3 times. Yesterday's was the 3rd time. I think the first one was in the evening. And then the second one, I was breastfeeding at that time. I think that one too was in the evening.
Okay, are you able to tell how many years ago?
That is, my girl is 4 years, so 4 years now, yes.
It was around 7:50. I was dressing up. I was standing in front of my dressing mirror. So before I realized, a sound was coming. So my kids was asking, "Mommy, what is happening?" I didn't know what was it. So I told them, "Wait." I just hold them, and we were standing there. So my husband said, "What happened?" But before we realized, it was just 3-4 minutes something that happened. That's all. That's happened. But I remember I've been here for the past 3 years. The first time that one happened, it happened around in the evening, as my sister said. Yeah. But everything went off. Everything that was in our house went off.
All this while, people have been reading sound down there. So we thought those are the top, we show some kind of concern. You see, now that the danger is looming, all of us are at risk. You see, they started the sound there was some 10 years ago. And those I thought, so nobody show no concern about it. You see, so I think now that you people are taking this now, but the government should come in and this reclamation, or how do you call it?
Yeah. And you talk about reclamation. They're also thinking about re-engineering and all of this.
Replace and roads and all kind of things. They should try and come to our aid.
What has happened to your property? Are you still going ahead with it in spite of the warning from the?
I'm not moving anyway.
Meanwhile, senior seismologist at the Ghana Geological Survey Authority, Nicholas Opoku, says his office currently does not have the capacity to predict or monitor future earthquakes. He gave 4.0 as the magnitude of Sunday's tremor.
The magnitude, we estimate it to be around 4.
Around 4,
yes.
So that's
not the exact magnitude, because we still need much more data to
Okay, talking about data, do you have what it takes? Do you have modern equipment to help you determine? Because in other parts of the world, a few minutes or hours after a quake, you're told what the magnitude is. Sometimes you could even predict ripple effect of that in coming days.
Since the colonial days, as early as 1914, the colonial government installed what we call single boom seismograph, which they were using to monitor earthquakes in Ghana. It broke down, and somewhere in the 80s, we installed an analog seismic network which we're using in the southern part of Ghana to monitor earthquakes. And
as it stands now, are these equipment working efficiently?
They are working. They are in the remote stations where we have placed them. We've placed some in Weja, we have some at Salt Pond, Shai Hills, Akoso Mo, even Kumasi, Lake Bosomtwe, these areas. So when an earthquake occurs and the waves are moving outward from the epicenter, the point where it breaks, the waves are moving. The time that it reaches where we have placed all these equipments, they record, and from that we can analyze to know the magnitude, the location.
Let me quickly ask you, did you see this tremor coming on Sunday? You didn't pick any signals at all?
Well, predicting an earthquake is still a problem world over.
But I'm asking if you picked any signals.
You don't have the signals. Okay. The other issue that we are also having is our data transmission. Okay. Because as I said, we have installed these equipments in some areas that I mentioned. And when something happens, you can't easily move a vehicle to all these places to pick data, come and analyze it.
So how do you get the information?
We're transmitting the data through satellite to our central observatory around Jimpa.
And you have issues with your satellite service as well?
The issue we have is with our satellite service.
The Inter-Ministerial Task Force on Illegal Mining has arrested 4 more Chinese nationals involved in illicit activity in the Ashanti region. It brings to 20 the number of arrests so far in the last 5 days. 20 excavators were also impounded in the latest crackdown at Diaso, Apamprama and Kobro reserves. The development raises concerns about allegations of official complicity as the perpetrators insist they have permits from the Minerals Commission to operate in such restricted areas. Lava Firm Serasto Sasaronko, who has been traveling with the Inter-Ministerial Task Force on Illegal Mining, has come through with the following report.
We drive through roads made by these illegal miners in a once virgin restricted forest. They link one mining site to another deep in the reserve. This is the Apamprama Forest Reserve, under the watch of the Forestry Commission. Now come with me as I take you through the devastation caused by illegal mining, even within a mining ban. Many rare tree species nurtured for years have been felled with reckless abandon. At best, the miners process some into planks to construct makeshift sheds. The rest of the logs are buried deep under heaps of earth created around large uncovered pits. The destruction to these virgin forests is huge, over 15 different locations, each about the size of 10 football fields combined. Several hectares of land destroyed in this manner, deep within the forest reserve. Now, many questions arise at the moment, and some of those questions are, so this devastation went on, and the Apraman Forest Reserve sites are right here. The Forestry Commission says it had no evil, it did not see anybody bringing in heavy equipment. This has lasted for close to a year. No government official got wind of it, or nobody was prepared to even face them. At one such site in the Kobro Forest, head of security for mining firm Heritage Imperial Mining Company, XW Adwatin, told the task force it has the blessing of people he describes as high-powered to carry out operation in the area.
We are here, there's a document. No problem. A miner, you understand? I'm not a miner, so you...
In the last 5 days, a bold and relentless enforcement of the ban on small-scale mining has led to arrest of 20 Chinese nationals, 4 of them in the Diaso Forest Reserve at the weekend. 10 of the excavators have been sent to Accra and many mining settlements destroyed by the task force. Task Force Commander W1 Isaac Nyako is overwhelmed by the wanton destruction of forest.
This is the largest. In fact, I don't even know how to start and how to end. I'm even shocked seeing the ground like this. The largest so far at this very site.
Leader of the Interministerial Task Force, Nana Jekum, says the fight will continue. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaridonko, Kumasi.
That'll be all for the bulletin. We have to make way for a hotline documentary, A Boy's Wish. Stay tuned.
This is Joy News Prime.